The city of New Vega was quiet that evening. Purple lights from alien ships glowed above the skyline, mixing with the orange sunset. The air smelled of metal and dust, a reminder that Earth was no longer ruled by humans alone. It was a shared world now, humans and aliens living side by side. Captain Ron Harver, a war hero, sat in his small apartment with his 8-year-old daughter, Lena. The war between humans and the alien race called the Serath had ended only 5 years ago. Ron still carried the memories and screams fire loss. He didn't trust aliens. Not one bit. Lena, however, was different. She had a soft heart, innocent eyes, and a smile that could melt stone. To her, everyone deserved kindness, even the strange-looking Serath children who wandered the lower streets of New Vega. That evening, as Ron cooked their dinner, a simple plate of rice and vegetables, Lena peeked out the window. On the corner of the street, she saw a small figure sitting alone. The figure was thin, shivering, and covered in a torn gray cloak. The shape of her head, the glowing blue eyes, the silver veins on her skin. She was a Serath girl, maybe Lena's age. Lena gasped softly. "Daddy," she whispered. "She looks hungry." Ron didn't look up. "Stay away from them, Lena. They're not like us." "But Daddy," Lena said, holding her small plate. "She looks so sad." Ron sighed. "Eat your food," but Lena couldn't. Her tiny heart hurt. She picked up half her food, placed it carefully on a napkin, and walked toward the door before her father could stop her. "Lena, don't you dare," Ron shouted, but she had already run outside. The cold air hit her face as she crossed the street. The Serath girl looked up, surprised. Her eyes glowed faintly in the shadows. She didn't speak, just stared, scared. Lena knelt down and smiled. "Hi, I'm Lena. You can have this." She pushed the food toward the alien girl. For a moment, the Serath child didn't move. Then slowly, she reached out with trembling hands. Her fingers were long and thin, ending in soft blue lights. She took the food and sniffed it carefully. "Thank you," the alien whispered in broken English. Lena's smile grew. "You're welcome." "What's your name?" The alien hesitated. "Siri." Before Lena could say more, heavy footsteps echoed from behind. Ron had come out, face red with anger and fear. "Lena, get back inside," he barked. Lena froze. "But Daddy, she's just hungry." Ron grabbed her arm, pulling her back. He looked at the alien girl with cold, sharp eyes. "You people took enough from us. Don't come near my family again." Siri flinched, clutching the food close. Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but no words came out. She turned and ran down the dark street. Lena pulled her arm free. "Why did you do that, Daddy?" "She wasn't bad." Ron didn't answer. He just stood there, staring into the distance, the same direction the alien girl had gone. The wind blew hard, carrying the faint hum of an old war siren from somewhere deep in the city. Later that night, Lena sat silently at the table, her plate empty. Ron walked to the window. Outside, the lights of New Vega flickered. He thought he saw movement in the shadows. Maybe the same Serath girl hiding, watching. He tried to shake it off. But something inside him stirred. Something old. That night, as Lena slept, Ron couldn't close his eyes. Memories came back. A battlefield on the alien moon of Viran. Smoke, fire, and a child's scream. A Serath child crying beside her dead mother. He had seen those same glowing blue eyes once before. He opened the window and looked at the sky. "What have we done?" he whispered. Then he heard it. A soft knock on the door. 3 times Ron froze. The clock showed midnight. Carefully, he reached for his blaster and walked toward the door. He opened it slightly, and gasped. There, standing in the pale moonlight, was Siri, the same Serath girl. But behind her stood something else. A tall shadow glowing faintly with eyes burning like stars. Lena woke up to her father's whisper. "Stay back, baby." The air grew cold. A strange hum filled the room, and at that moment Ron Harver realized this night was only the beginning. The cold wind blew through the cracks of the old window as Captain Ron Harver stood frozen at the door. In front of him stood Siri, the poor alien girl from earlier, the same one his daughter had tried to help. But now behind her in the faint blue light a tall shadow moved. It wasn't human. The figure was covered in black armor that shimmered with faint silver lines. Two glowing eyes, bright as stars, stared right into Ron's soul. The air felt heavy, like time had stopped. "Who are you?" Ron whispered, his hand still gripping the blaster. The tall figure tilted its head slightly. "You should not fear me. Human." Its voice was deep, layered, and calm, but there was something ancient in its tone. Lena peeked from behind her father, half awake, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy, what's happening?" Ron quickly stepped in front of her. "Go to your room, Lena." But Siri stepped forward, clutching her little blanket. "Please, don't hurt him. He's my protector." "Protector?" Ron's voice was full of disbelief. "What are you talking about? You came to my door at midnight with this thing?" The alien's glowing eyes blinked once. "My name is Kale, commander of the Sirath Guard. This child, Siri, is not just a beggar. She carries something powerful, something your people lost long ago." Ron frowned. "Powerful?" "She's a starving kid." Kale turned his gaze to the window, where the distant city lights flickered. "She is more than that. She carries the Echo Seed, the last living memory of our kind. If she dies, your world dies with her." Ron felt a chill crawl up his spine. He wanted to laugh, to call it nonsense, but the seriousness in Kale's voice stopped him. Lena whispered, "Daddy, maybe he's telling the truth." Siri looked scared before. "Maybe she's running from someone." Kale nodded slowly. "The ones who hunt her are not Serath, not human. They are the Vorn, born from the ashes of war, machines without mercy." Ron looked at the small Serath girl. She was trembling, hiding behind Kale's leg. Her blue eyes glowed softly, full of fear. "You're telling me," Ron said, lowering his gun a little, "that some machines are hunting this child? Why come to me?" Kale took a slow step forward. "Because you once saved one of us on Varen. 5 years ago, during the war, you could have killed a Serath medic. But you didn't." Ron's breath caught. He remembered the burning sky, the smoke, and a wounded Serath soldier he had carried away from the fire, even when his own men called him a traitor. "How do you know that?" he asked, voice shaking. Kale's armor flickered. "That medic was my brother." Silence filled the room. Lena's small hand touched her father's arm. "Daddy, he's not lying." Ron lowered the blaster fully. "What do you want from me?" Kale's voice turned urgent. "They're coming tonight. The Vorn have traced her energy signature. If they find her, they will destroy this entire block to erase her existence." Ron looked out the window. The city lights were dimming, one by one. The hum of drones echoed in the distance. "They're already here," Kale said quietly. The room suddenly shook. A flash of red light cut across the night sky. An explosion thundered somewhere nearby. "Get down," Ron shouted, grabbing Lena and pulling her behind the couch. Kale moved fast, his armor glowing brighter. A strange blue shield formed around them as debris fell from the ceiling. Siri screamed and held on to Lena. "They found us." Through the broken window, dark flying machines swooped down, their red eyes scanning the building. A metallic voice echoed in the air, cold and mechanical. "Target located, eliminate." Kale's voice roared like thunder. "Stay behind me." He raised his arm, firing a beam of blue light that struck one of the drones. It exploded mid-air, lighting up the dark street below. Ron watched, heart pounding. He had seen many battles, but never anything like this. Lena cried softly, clutching Siri's hand. "Daddy, what do we do?" Ron looked at Kale. "If we survive this, you're going to explain everything." Kale nodded once. "If we survive." He turned toward the window as more red lights filled the sky. The machines were swarming, hundreds of them. Kale spread his arms. His armor split open slightly, revealing a glowing core. "Get ready," he said. "I can hold them off for a few minutes. But you must run." Ron looked at Lena and Siri, 2 children, one human, one alien, both terrified. For the first time since the war, he didn't see an enemy. He saw innocence and hope. He took a deep breath, grabbed Lena's hand and said, "All right, we run together." Kale turned his glowing eyes back to him. "Then hurry, Captain Harver. The future depends on that child." Outside, the night screamed with fire and metal. The war Ron thought was over had just begun again. The night sky over New Vega burned red. Explosions flashed across the skyline like firestorms tearing through the stars. Sirens wailed from distant towers, and smoke rose from the lower streets. Inside the small apartment, Captain Ron Harver grabbed a small backpack, throwing in a few essentials: A flashlight, first aid kit, water bottles, and his old military pistol. Lena, stay close to me, he said firmly, his voice shaking but calm. Little Lena held Siri's hand tightly. The alien girl's glowing blue eyes were wide with fear. They're here, she whispered. They can smell the energy of the echo seed. Ron turned to Kale, the armored alien warrior who now stood at the window, his glowing armor flickering like a dying star. You said you can stop them. So stop them! Kyle shook his head. Not for long. The Vorn adapt. They learn. Every shot I fire, they become stronger. We need to move before they surround this sector. Outside, the roar of engines echoed through the narrow streets. The sound of metal feet striking concrete grew louder, a marching army of machines. Ron looked at Lena, then at Siri. All right, we run. Kale raised his arm. A blue pulse spread across the room, forming a shimmering wall. This shield will hide your heat signatures for 2 minutes. Go through the back alley. Head for the East Transit Tunnel. I'll cover you. Ron hesitated. You'll get killed. Kale's metallic voice was calm. I already died once. Now go. Without another word, Ron grabbed Lena's hand and led both girls out through the back door. The alley behind the apartment was narrow and full of shadows. Trash cans, broken wires, flickering lights. Every sound made Lena flinch. The hum of drones passed overhead, dark shapes scanning the streets with red beams. One beam swept across the alley. Ron pushed the girls behind an old delivery truck. Stay quiet, he whispered. The drone paused. The red light hovered dangerously close. Siri's breathing quickened, her body glowing faintly with blue light. Turn it off, Ron hissed. I can't, Siri whispered. It's not light. It's inside me, Ron clenched his jaw. He thought fast. He grabbed a metal rod from the ground and threw it far down the alley. The drone sensors followed the noise, and in a flash it flew away. Let's go, he whispered, pulling the girls forward. They ran. The streets of New Vega were chaos. Burning cars, shattered glass, people running in every direction. Some shouted about the machines, while others hid in fear. Lena looked up at her father. Daddy, why are they doing this? Ron didn't answer. He didn't know. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind them. Kale appeared from the smoke, armor cracked, carrying the remains of 2 destroyed Vorn drones. They're coming from the rooftops, he shouted. Ron pointed toward a dark tunnel entrance ahead. That's the East Transit Tunnel.
Move! They sprinted!
The tunnel was old, abandoned since the war. Rusted trains, broken lights, graffiti from forgotten years. But it was shelter. As they entered, Kale sealed the door with a blast of blue energy. That'll buy us a few minutes. Ron leaned against a wall, breathing heavily. You said this child has something powerful inside her. The echo seed, what is it really? Kale looked at Siri. The little alien girl stared at the floor, holding Lena's hand tightly. The echo seed, Kyle began, is the memory of our 2 worlds, Serath and Earth. Long ago, before war, our ancestors created a link between species. It was a bond of knowledge and peace. The Vorn were built to protect it, but something went wrong. They lost purpose. They became hunters, Ron frowned, and now they're trying to erase it. Kale nodded. If they destroy the echo seed, the balance between worlds will break. Your planet will fall next. Ron stared at Siri. And you're saying it's inside her? Siri's voice trembled. I didn't ask for it. It chose me. Now everyone wants me dead. Lena looked up at her father. We can't let them take her, Daddy. Ron felt a heavy weight in his chest. He looked at the 2 girls, one human, one alien, holding each other like sisters. For the first time, he saw no difference between them. He nodded slowly. We won't. Just then, a deep rumble shook the ground. The tunnel lights flickered. Kale's armor glowed red. They've breached the upper level, he said. We have to go deeper. They moved quickly, following the broken tracks deeper into the darkness. Water dripped from the ceiling. The air smelled of rust and oil. Suddenly, a metallic screech echoed ahead. From the shadows, a massive figure emerged. A Vorn hunter. Its eyes glowed red, its body covered in blades and metal armor. Ron froze. We're trapped. Kale stepped forward, his voice calm but powerful. Stay behind me. The Vorn hunter spoke in a cold, mechanical tone. The child carries forbidden code. Surrender and you may live. Ron raised his pistol. You'll have to go through me. The machine tilted its head. Accepted. Then it lunged. Kale met it mid-air, the clash of metal echoing through the tunnel like thunder. Sparks flew as their blades collided. Ron grabbed the girls and ran behind a broken train car, watching the two titans fight in the dark. Lena screamed as the tunnel began to collapse. Dust filled the air. Kale shouted, "Run, now!" Ron didn't look back. He grabbed Lena and Siri, running deeper into the tunnel as explosions followed behind. In the distance, a faint blue light flickered, a hidden door glowing faintly on the wall. Siri pointed. "That way." They reached it just as the tunnel caved in behind them. The sound of falling metal and roaring fire faded slowly. Ron slammed the door shut. Silence. Only their heavy breathing filled the air. Lena looked up. "Daddy, where are we?" Ron turned and looked at the strange symbols glowing on the walls. He frowned. "I think we just stepped into something not human," Siri whispered, eyes wide. "The ancient Sereth chambers. They're real." The heavy metal door closed behind them with a deep echo, shutting out the chaos of the collapsing tunnel. Silence filled the air, thick and alive. Captain Ron Harver took a slow breath and looked around. The walls shimmered with faint blue light. Strange symbols glowed softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. The air was warm, but the light felt cold on their faces. "What is this place?" Ron whispered. The alien girl, Siri, stepped forward, her silver veins shining faintly. "This is a Sarath temple," she said softly. "My mother used to tell stories about them. They were built before the Great War, when humans and Sarath worked together." Ron frowned. "Work together? That's impossible." "We never—" Kale, the armored warrior, interrupted him. "It's not impossible. It's history your people forgot." He walked toward the glowing wall and touched one of the symbols. Instantly, the chamber came alive. Blue light spread across the walls, forming shapes. Stars, planets, and then two hands reaching for each other, one human, one alien. Lena gasped. "It's beautiful." Kale turned to her. "This is where our ancestors made the first echo seed. It was a promise. Peace between worlds. But when greed came, everything changed." Ron crossed his arms. "So you're telling me all those wars, all that blood, was because of this?" Kale's voice was calm but heavy. "Because of fear. Humans feared what they didn't understand. The Sarath feared what they could lose." Siri moved closer to the center of the chamber. A large crystal floated above a pedestal, glowing faintly. It pulsed faster as she approached. The moment she touched it, the entire room brightened. The air vibrated with sound and a deep hum that filled their bones. "Wait, Siri, what are you doing?" Ron shouted, but she didn't answer. Her eyes turned pure blue, glowing brighter than before. The light from the crystal wrapped around her like threads of energy. Lena screamed, "Daddy, help her!" Kale stepped forward. "No, don't touch her." "The chamber is reading her energy." Ron watched in horror as symbols on the walls changed, turning from blue to gold. The air shimmered. A voice echoed, soft but ancient, neither human nor alien. "The seed has found its guardian. The balance must be restored." The light faded. Siri collapsed. Ron caught her before she hit the ground. Her breathing was slow but steady. Kale knelt beside her. "It's begun." Ron looked up. "What began?" Kale's armor flickered. "The awakening. The echo seed has accepted her. Now the Vorn will stop at nothing. They can feel her energy, even through stone." Ron clenched his jaw. "So what do we do now?" Kale stood. "We find the core nexus, deep beneath this temple. It's the only place that can protect her, or destroy the seed if we must." Ron's eyes darkened. "Destroy it? After all this?" Kale met his gaze. "If the Vorn capture it, they will merge with it. And then nothing will be left alive, human or Sarath." Before Ron could reply, the ground trembled again. Dust fell from the ceiling. The humming grew louder, but this time it wasn't from the temple. "They've found us," Kale said sharply. "Vorn units are tunneling through." Ron lifted Siri in his arms. "Lead the way." They ran deeper into the glowing corridors. The walls seemed to move, shifting like liquid metal. Ancient machines hummed awake as they passed, scanning them with blue light. Lena whispered, "Daddy, it's like the walls are watching us." Kale nodded. "They are. The Sarath built living structures. The temple decides who enters and who never leaves." "Comforting," Ron muttered. They reached a wide circular room, a huge underground chamber with a glowing floor and a massive gate in the center. Symbols spun across its surface like stars in motion. "This is the core nexus," Kale said, "but it's sealed." He placed his hand on the gate. The symbols flickered but didn't open. It needs 2 life forces, 1 Serath, 1 human. That's the key. Ron looked down at Ciri in his arms. She's too weak. Kyle turned to him. Then it must be you, Ron blinked.
Me? How?
Kale's eyes glowed brighter. You were linked once, on Varen. You saved my brother's life. The seed remembers your act. It will recognize your spirit. Before Ron could process it, the walls cracked open with a thunderous roar. From the shadows, red lights pierced through. Vorn drones breaking into the chamber. Go! Kyle shouted. Ron stepped forward, placing his hand on the gate beside Kale's. A surge of light shot through him. Hot, blinding, electric. He screamed as blue and gold energy wrapped around both of them. The gate began to open. Behind them, the Vorn stormed in, firing red beams that sliced through the air. One blast hit Kale's shoulder and his armor shattered, sparks flying. Keep going, he shouted. Protect the girls. Ron turned just in time to see Kale charge the Vorn, blades flashing, his glowing armor lighting the room like a star-going supernova. The gate opened fully. Ron ran through with Lena and Ciri. The world on the other side wasn't a room. It was endless light, floating bridges and golden air. Lena gasped. It's beautiful. Kale turned to her. This is where our ancestors made the first echo seed. It was a promise, peace between worlds. But when greed came, everything changed. Ron crossed his arms. So you're telling me all those wars, all that blood, was because of this? Kale's voice was calm but heavy. Because of fear. Humans feared what they didn't understand. The Serath feared what they could lose. Ciri moved closer to the center of the chamber. A large crystal floated above a pedestal, glowing faintly. It pulsed faster as she approached. The moment she touched it, the entire room brightened. The air vibrated with sound and a deep hum that filled their bones. Wait, Ciri. What are you doing? Ron shouted, but she didn't answer. Her eyes turned pure blue, glowing brighter than before. The light from the crystal wrapped around her like threads of energy. Lena screamed, Daddy, help her! Kale stepped forward. No, don't touch her. The chamber is reading her energy. Ron watched in horror as symbols on the walls changed, turning from blue to gold. The air shimmered. A voice echoed, soft but ancient, neither human nor alien. The seed has found its guardian. The balance must be restored. The light faded. Ciri collapsed. Ron caught her before she hit the ground. Her breathing was slow but steady. Kale knelt beside her. It's begun. Ron looked up. What began? Kale's armor flickered. The awakening. The echo seed has accepted her. Now the Vorn will stop at nothing. They can feel her energy. Even through stone. Ron clenched his jaw. So what do we do now? Kyle stood. We find the core nexus deep beneath this temple. It's the only place that can protect her or destroy the seed if we must. Ron's eyes darkened. Destroy it? After all this? Kale met his gaze. If the Vorn capture it, they will merge with it. And then, nothing will be left alive, human or Serath. Before Ron could reply, the ground trembled again. Dust fell from the ceiling. The humming grew louder, but this time it wasn't from the temple. They've found us, Kale said sharply. Vorn units are tunneling through. Ron lifted Ciri in his arms. Lead the way. They ran deeper into the glowing corridors. The walls seemed to move, shifting like liquid metal. Ancient machines hummed awake as they passed, scanning them with blue light. Lena whispered, Daddy. It's like the walls are watching us, Kale nodded. They are. The Serath built living structures. The temple decides who enters and who never leaves. Comforting, Ron muttered. They reached a wide circular room, a huge underground chamber with a glowing floor and a massive gate in the center. Symbols spun across its surface like stars in motion. This is the core nexus, Kale said. But it's sealed. He placed his hand on the gate. The symbols flickered but didn't open. It needs 2 life forces, 1 Serath, 1 human. That's the key. Ron looked down at Ciri in his arms. She's too weak. Kyle turned to him. Then it must be you, Ron blinked. Me? How? Kale's eyes glowed brighter. You were linked once, on Varen. You saved my brother's life. The seed remembers your act. It will recognize your spirit. Before Ron could process it, the walls cracked open with a thunderous roar. From the shadows, red lights pierced through, Vorn drones breaking into the chamber. Go, Kale shouted. Ron stepped forward, placing his hand on the gate beside Kale's. A surge of light shot through him, hot, blinding, electric. He screamed as blue and gold energy wrapped around both of them. The gate began to open. Behind them, the Vorn stormed in, firing red beams that sliced through the air. One blast hit Kale's shoulder. His armor shattered, sparks flying. "Keep going," he shouted. "Protect the girls!" Ron turned just in time to see Kale charge the Vorn, blades flashing, his glowing armor lighting the room like a star going supernova. The gate opened fully. Ron ran through with Lena and Ciri. The world on the other side wasn't a room. It was endless light, floating bridges and golden air. Lena looked back. "Kale!" But the gate was already closing. The last thing Ron saw was Kale standing tall, surrounded by fire and metal, shouting one final word. "Run!" Blinding light filled the air. Warm, soft, endless. When Captain Ron Harver finally opened his eyes, he wasn't in the tunnel anymore. The air shimmered like sunlight underwater. Floating platforms stretched across an endless golden space, connected by glowing bridges of energy. His daughter Lena stood beside him, holding Ciri's hand. The alien girl looked weak but alive, her blue eyes reflecting the golden glow around them. "Daddy," Lena whispered. "Where are we?" Ron slowly turned in a circle. "I don't know, but I think this is the nexus Kale talked about." Behind them, the massive gate they had come through had vanished. There was no way back, everything was quiet, too quiet. The hum of the walls in the temple was gone. No explosions, no machines, no Kyle. Ciri looked down at her glowing hands. "The seed. It's reacting to this place. Is that good or bad?" Ron asked. "I'm not sure," she said softly. "But it feels alive." They stepped carefully onto one of the glowing bridges. Every step rippled light across it like waves in water. Below them was nothing, just infinite golden mist. As they walked, symbols began to appear on the bridge, words and images forming from light. Lena gasped. "Daddy, look. It's showing pictures." Ron stared. The glowing symbols formed a story. Humans and Serath working side by side, building great cities and ships. Then war, fire, destruction, and finally a shining sphere rising from the ashes. The Echo Seed. Ciri's voice trembled. "This place remembers everything. It's the memory of both worlds." Ron felt a strange pull in his chest, like something deep inside him was waking up. "So, all this time humans and your people were connected?" Ciri nodded. "Yes, we were never meant to fight. We were meant to grow together." They reached the end of the bridge where a massive golden platform floated in the air. In the center stood a tall crystal structure, like a throne made of light. As they approached, the air shimmered and a figure appeared, not real, but a hologram made of gold and blue energy. It looked human, but its face shifted, sometimes human, sometimes Serath. "Welcome, Guardians of the Seed," the voice said. It was calm, echoing through the space. "You have entered the Golden Nexus, the heart of remembrance." Ron took a cautious step forward. "Who are you?" "I am the Archive," the being said. "The last voice of the alliance between worlds." Ciri tilted her head. "The alliance?" "Long ago," the Archive continued, "your ancestors created peace, but fear destroyed it. The Vorn were once protectors of this peace, until they lost their purpose. They now serve the Void." Ron frowned. "The Void?" "A hunger," the Archive said, its tone darkening. "It devours knowledge, light, and life. The Vorn are its hands, and it seeks the Echo Seed to consume the memory of creation itself." The golden floor trembled slightly as the figure's light dimmed. "Only the chosen can decide," the Archive said. "Preserve the seed and risk the Void finding it. Or destroy it, and end both worlds' connection forever." Ron felt his heart pound. "Destroy it? No, there has to be another way." The Archive's face flickered between human and alien again. "The seed's power cannot be hidden. If it lives, the Void will come." Lena's small voice broke the silence. "But if it dies, people will never remember what peace was." Ron looked at her, his daughter standing bravely in a world beyond stars. He knelt beside her. "Sometimes, the hardest choice isn't between good and bad. It's between hope and fear." Ciri looked at the golden crystal throne. "If I destroy it, I die too, don't I?" The Archive didn't answer, but the silence said everything. Lena grabbed Ciri's hand. "No, there has to be another way." Suddenly the golden air rippled. The light dimmed. A sharp metallic sound echoed from above. Ron looked up and then froze. A red crack tore through the golden sky. Out of it, black shapes began to fall. Dozens of Vorn drones, their eyes glowing red, their metal bodies tearing through the light. They found us. Ron shouted. The archive's voice thundered. The Nexus cannot be invaded unless it was marked. Siri gasped, holding her chest. They used my energy signature. They tracked the seed through me. The drones descended, firing red beams that shattered parts of the golden bridges. Ron grabbed Lena and pushed her behind a crystal pillar. Siri, can you stop them? She shook her head, tears glowing in her blue eyes. I can't fight them. But maybe I can close the rift. How? She looked up, determination replacing her fear. If I release the seed's energy to all of it, it'll seal the Nexus, but... Ron's eyes widened. But you won't survive. She nodded silently. Before he could protest, Siri ran to the center platform. Her hands glowed, her body surrounded by golden blue energy. The ground trembled as the light spread across the Nexus. Lena screamed, Siri, no! The Vorn fired. Ron fired back, protecting the girls, but there were too many. The light from Siri's body exploded outward, covering everything in gold. The red rift above began to close, the drones disintegrating in waves of light. Ron shielded Lena as the world shook apart. Goodbye, Lena, Siri's soft voice echoed. Remember me. And then, silence. When the light faded, the Nexus was calm again. The drones were gone. The rift had closed, but Siri was nowhere to be seen. Only a small glowing orb floated where she had stood, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Lena fell to her knees, tears in her eyes. She saved us. Ron placed a hand on her shoulder, his face pale, his voice heavy. She saved everyone. He picked up the glowing orb. It felt warm, alive. And somewhere deep inside it, he thought he heard a whisper. It's not over yet. The silence inside the golden Nexus was haunting. The bright light had faded into a soft glow, and the air was heavy with golden dust. Captain Ron Harver stood in the middle of the platform, the glowing orb of the echo seed resting in his trembling hands. It pulsed gently like a living heart, one that still remembered Siri. Beside him, Lena sat quietly, her face pale and streaked with tears. She hadn't spoken since the explosion of light. Daddy, she finally whispered. Is Siri gone? Ron looked at the orb. It hummed softly in response, as if answering. I don't know, sweetheart, he said. But she's still here. I can feel her. The orb flickered, and a faint voice echoed through the chamber, soft, childlike, and filled with warmth. Don't be sad, Lena. I'm still with you, Lena gasped. It's her. Ron's eyes widened. Siri? Not exactly, the voice said. I am what's left of her. The seed and I became one. Ron tightened his grip on the orb. Siri, listen to me. You don't have to do this alone. We can find a way to bring you back. No, the voice said gently. The Vorn are not gone. They're only sleeping. The void still reaches for us. The seed must move to a new world. A new world? Ron frowned. What are you saying? Before Siri could answer, the air around them began to shift again. The golden floor turned transparent, revealing the ruins of New Vega far below, burning, broken, and full of smoke. Lena gasped. Daddy, the city! Through the haze, they saw Vorn ships still patrolling the skies. Kale's body was nowhere to be seen. Ron clenched his jaw. We need to get back. If the seed is still active, they'll come again. The orb pulsed brighter. Then you must protect me, Siri's voice said. You are the last human the Nexus trusts. Ron felt a deep vibration in his chest. The light from the orb spread up his arms, threads of blue and gold weaving into his skin. He staggered back. Daddy! Lena shouted. Ron gasped as images flashed before his eyes. The war, Kale's face, the alien world of Varen. The two hands from the Nexus reaching for each other. The voice whispered inside his mind. You are the bridge now, Captain Harver. Then, silence. The light faded. Lena ran to him.
Daddy, are you okay?
He opened his eyes slowly. They were glowing faintly gold. I'm fine. I think, he said, his voice shaking. She's inside me now. The air around them began to ripple again. The Nexus trembled. Warning, Siri's voice said now inside Ron's head. Dimensional collapse imminent. You must leave. Ron looked around. How, the gate's gone? Suddenly, part of the golden floor split open, revealing a glowing spiral of light. "This way," he said, grabbing Lena's hand. They jumped, falling through the swirling tunnel of light as the nexus behind them shattered into a million shards. They landed hard on cold concrete. The golden glow vanished. When Ron opened his eyes, he was back in New Vega, but the city was not the same. The skies were darker, filled with smoke and silent Vorn ships hanging motionless, as if waiting. Lena stood, coughing. "Where are we?" Ron looked around. Same city. Different time, maybe. "You're right," Ciri's voice whispered in his mind. "The Nexus moved us forward. The war is over, but something worse has begun." Ron frowned. "Worse?" "The Vorn didn't die. They changed. They merged with human technology." A low hum echoed through the streets. From the shadows, figures began to appear. Not machines, not humans, but something between. Flesh mixed with metal. Glowing red eyes set in human faces. Lena held his arm. "Daddy, what are they?" Ron's heart pounded. "Hybrids." One of the creatures stepped closer. Its voice was robotic, yet strangely human. "Captain Harver, you are expected." Ron aimed his pistol. "By who?" The hybrid's metal lips twisted into a grin. "By the new overseer. The one who calls herself the voice of the void," Ciri's voice screamed inside Ron's mind. "Run!" The hybrids lunged forward. Ron fired, hitting one in the chest, but it barely slowed. Sparks and blood flew. He grabbed Lena's hand. "This way!" They ran through the ruined street, turning corners as explosions echoed behind them. The orb inside Ron's chest pulsed faster, whispering directions. Left and now right. Under the bridge. He obeyed without question. Every time they almost got caught, the whisper saved them. Finally, they reached an old subway entrance. Ron pushed Lena inside and sealed the door behind them. The tunnels were dark, wet, and silent. For a moment, they just breathed. Lena looked up at him. "Daddy and his Ciri really inside you?" Ron smiled weakly. "Yes, she's part of us now. And maybe she's our only hope." "Not maybe," Ciri's voice said softly. "Definitely. But to stop the void, we need to find what was hidden before the war. The second seed." Ron's eyes widened. "There's another one?" "Yes," she said. "And it's buried deep beneath the human capital, where your leaders once made their darkest choice." The ground above them rumbled again, the sound of machines waking. Ron looked up, eyes glowing gold in the dark. "Then we find it," he said. "Before the void finds us." Lena squeezed his hand. "And this time we save everyone." He smiled faintly. "That's the plan." The camera of imagination would zoom out here, showing the broken skyline of New Vega, half lit by fire, half by stars. And somewhere deep underground, two faint lights, one gold, one blue, began to move together again. The underground tunnels stretched endlessly beneath the ruins of New Vega. The air was cold, thick with dust and old memories. Captain Ron Harver moved carefully through the dark, his flashlight flickering against the metal walls. Beside him, Lena held tight to his jacket, and deep inside his chest, the faint blue glow of the echo seed pulsed with every heartbeat. "Keep going," whispered Ciri's voice from within. "The coordinates are close." The second seed sleeps just beyond this chamber. They entered a vast underground hall, a place untouched since the war. Broken machines hung from the ceiling, and giant metal pillars rose from the floor like ancient trees. At the center stood a large circular platform covered in strange symbols, half human, half Serath. Ron stepped forward. This must be it. The moment his foot touched the platform, the floor lit up in golden rings. The ground rumbled as energy flowed through the walls. Lena gasped. "Daddy, why, it's waking up." "Be careful," Ciri warned. "The second seed has been silent for decades. It may not remember friend from foe." The air shimmered. A beam of light rose from the platform, forming the shape of a huge crystal. But unlike the first seed, this one glowed red at its core. Ron frowned. "That's not right," Ciri's voice trembled. "No, it's been corrupted." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Metal plates fell from the ceiling as red mist poured into the room. A deep, cold voice echoed all around them. "So, the Guardian returns." Ron froze. "Who's there?" From the shadows, tall figures stepped forward, half human, half machine. At their center stood a woman clad in black armor, her eyes glowing crimson. She smiled, cruel and calm. I am the voice of the void, the one your kind left behind. Ciri's voice whispered urgently. She was human once. Before the seed twisted her, Ron raised his pistol. You'll stay away from my daughter, the voice laughed softly. Your daughter? The child who carries the echo's mark? Foolish man. She is the key to connecting both seeds and ending everything. Lena's eyes widened. Daddy, she wants me. Ron stood in front of her. She'll have to kill me first. The voice tilted her head. Then so be it. With a wave of her hand, the hybrids attacked. The air filled with the sound of metal and screams. Ron fired, each shot echoing like thunder. He moved fast, protecting Lena as Ciri's energy flared from his chest, forming a shimmering blue shield around them. I'll help you fight, Ciri said inside him. But my power won't last long. The battle raged. Sparks and blood mixed on the floor. Ron fought like a soldier from another time, brave, broken, unstoppable. But the voice moved faster. She raised her hand, summoning red lightning that struck the walls, cracking the ground. Your world was never meant to survive, she hissed. It belongs to the void now. Ciri's voice grew louder. Ron, the second seed can purify her, but only if we connect both seeds together. Ron gritted his teeth. Tell me how. Through Lena, Ciri whispered. Her heart carries the same frequency as mine. She can link us, Ron turned to his daughter. Lena, listen to me. You need to touch the seed, and don't let go no matter what happens. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But Daddy, do it now! Lena ran toward the red seed as the voice screamed, No! The room exploded in light. Gold and crimson energy clashed, swirling around the platform. Lena's small hands pressed against the seed's core, and the blue light from her father's chest shot across the room, connecting to her like a bridge of fire. Ron fell to his knees, shouting through the storm. Ciri, help her. I am with her. Ciri's voice echoed through the chaos. The voice of the void screamed as the red light began to fade. You cannot erase me. I am the end. But Lena's voice rose above the storm, soft, clear, pure. No, you're just the beginning that forgot how to love. With one final flash, the second seed turned gold. The hybrids vanished in a wave of light. The voice dissolved, screaming as the energy swallowed her. Then, silence. The golden glow faded. The platform cracked. Smoke filled the air. Ron crawled toward his daughter. Lena! She lay on the ground, unconscious but breathing. Her hands still glowed faintly blue. Ciri's voice spoke softly inside Ron's mind. Weak. Fading. It's over. The seeds are one again. The void is sealed. Ron's throat tightened. Ciri, what about you? I'm going home, she said gently. But you'll never be alone. Part of me will always live in her. The light in his chest dimmed, fading into stillness. Ron looked down at Lena. For the first time in years, the air around them felt peaceful. Warm. The ceiling cracked and faint sunlight broke through, falling across their faces. Lena opened her eyes slowly and smiled. Daddy, she said goodbye. Ron hugged her tightly, tears falling into her hair. She saved us all. Above the ruins, the morning sun rose over New Vega. The city was quiet, reborn. From the sky, two small lights, one gold, one blue, rose together into the clouds, merging into a single star. And as that star shone brighter than all others, a single voice whispered through the wind, Humanity's future begins with kindness.